Um, Hello everyone. Today I'm continuing the second part of my video about where am I right now. So without wasting more time, let's get started. Okay, so the last thing I was gonna say before the phone shut was that apart from my birthday, I am also the brother of a trio, and I am the middle one. I could say that what I have heritated from this famous middle child syndrome, maybe it could be the fact that I don't fit in my family. In a way that I have a lot of ideas very opposed to them. And I act in a very kind of weird manner. I couldn't say that I don't get more attention than my brothers, since our fathers are kind of good. I wouldn't say they're perfect, but they care at least what's the best about us. What I could say, however, is that I seem to be always getting like I go. Sometimes I get mad with my little brother, but it ends up being that I way too more furious. But I'm sorry, I don't tend to be able to control myself. I am a very short fused person and tend to act without thinking a lot when I'm mad. And also, I could say that what I heritate from that syndrome could be the fact that I don't share the same way of acting as my brothers, as both are kind of annoying persons, but they like to bother a lot and prank and do a lot of things that like teasing or poking. Despite the fact that I sometimes can get too loud at someone else, I don't tend to be usually doing bad things. Talking about how I act, I will say that it's hard sometimes for me for starting a conversation. I tend to be good at breaking the ice but not starting, and I am a good talker. I gather knowledge as much as I like it from anything. Sometimes I can be a little shy, mostly when it's about meeting new people and don't know which kind of first impression give. I would say as well that as a person I sometimes try to be the funny one in a group in order to get, you know, some kind of attention, you know, or like entertaining everyone. There's no better way to get someone to like you than making laugh. Well, now going about how everything in my life started. Well, I was born as everyone in an hospital. Then I couldn't say much about my first years. More the fact that about here, it's near here, but there it is. This thing, this car, I made it about when I was 2 years, I believe, when I accidentally tripped on while trying to reach a higher floor. When I tripped, I hit my forehead with the thing. From what my mom said, when I get up, I wasn't actually crying, despite that it was painful, and probably I would have reacted if it was this day that happened. And basically, I was bleeding, but it wasn't something so serious. I mean, yeah, for a baby getting a scar that this long would be dangerous, but fortunately, that wasn't the most dangerous thing that happened to me. Actually, as well, from what my mom said, I used to be a very unhealthy child in a way that I didn't drink breast milk, and so I had to be fed with artificial milk, you know, powder milk and those things. My skin was even getting yellowish, kind of like losing the pigments, and I tend to vomit in lots of times. Fortunately, I like the milk, the powder milk, so on I regain my force and my vitamins. When it came to the age of 3 years, I went to kindergarten for the first time. Now, my dad works in a government as a secretary for the government public water organization or water service, whatever you want to call it. And because of that, he's got some kind of, I would say, working privilege or employee. One of these was that from the from the location where he worked, there was this kindergarten made by the corporation for the sons of the workers and so on. I ended up there. I would say that I was kind of a troublemaker, but rather for the fact that I always get involved in fights. As I say, I was short-tempered, and there were lots of kids who tend to poke and being very rude, not sharing the toys. There was this one kid that always did that, and I tend to get to fight with him. But honestly, what I can do? If there's one thing that I hate is the people that care a lot about material things and don't tend to share the things that they hold, despite the fact that it wasn't theirs. Theirs. I'm sorry. At the age of 5, I was like in my last year, and so on. One of the things that came to me as a responsibility was to take care of my brother, my little brother, who had to go to the same kindergarten as me. I wouldn't say he wasn't much trouble aside from the fact that he cried a lot, but honestly, I can say a lot more than that. I had to take him by the hand, being showing him the places and soothing him or making him feel in home because he was on his tree when that happened. By the way, by someone asking, I am 3 years older than my younger brother, and I am like 5 or 6 years younger than my older brother. So on my 6 I finished the kindergarten, and because the kindergarten doesn't hold for what we call in here prepa, I had to go to a different college. Luckily, the college to which I went was near. I'm college. I mean, school was near my house. So it meant that I hadn't having to walk a lot. It was like 10 meters, I would say, and it was good. I wasn't so much of a troublemaker, in fights. People were kind of good persons, and no one actually was that mischievous. The only thing I could say I did was to actually throw the door at someone, and it was a metal door, but it was like an accident. Like trying to close the classroom, but I didn't know if it was out there. After that, I finished it, and I actually got a diploma as the second place of the whole class. Despite the fact that one of my traits is to hold a love for all my achievements and all the things that I hold as a person, as my personality or my origins, that diploma is one thing that I always forgot, but I feel proud of it. Then, when it came to first grade, my parents signed me in the same school that my older brother was. For the time that I was in first grade, he was in sixth. So we didn't hang up a lot, and after that I had to survive by myself, which wasn't that bad. But I would like to know how could the chemistry work between us. One thing that also was a trouble that even was before I could enter school was that I was too young for it. Uh, it's hard to say, but I'm gonna say it in the way that I understand it. Basically, I was 6 years old for the school to allow me to go to first grade. I was supposed to have 7 years. Luckily, because I was able to read, and I learned to read actually to a young age, I was capable of getting there. Now, first grade wasn't bad, and it was actually just the same, a little bit boring, just by the fact that I got changed of grade from A to C. To this day, I don't know why, and I don't think it was something bad. Never I heard of a bad student that actually had to be changed of grade. Maybe it was a mistake of myself, since even